Welcome to Virtualize Everything. Today wasn't my day. So it's President's Day 2025, and I had the day off. My wife had to work. That meant I was staying at home and going to work on some things around the house. I started off replacing the backsplash in my kitchen. Not that you need to know that. But then I fired up a PC, an old ThickCenter M720S, one of the same ones I picked up last year for my clustering project. But this time, I intended on doing something special, making what I wanted to call the ultimate distro swapping system. Well, that's where everything failed, and concludes in the making of this video. Today, I want to document what I've done and what I haven't done. And then I want to share it with the world of YouTube and the world of the internet so that somebody else following in my steps might be able to solve it or just have some more information going in about what they're facing. So the M720S has an Intel 630 graphics card. You can pass it through. It supports IMMO. And I was able to easily enable IMMO using the grub steps for Proxmox 8 that is shared in this channel already. I won't be taking you through any of those steps because we do know IMMO is working. For the first thing I did was download a copy of Ubuntu 24.04 LTS and start configuring my VM. So let's take a look at what I configured for my VM. Here we can select that VM and go to hardware, and then you can see a bunch of devices pass through: a keyboard, a mouse, a GPU, and an audio device. That's right, these were all going to share even audio. This was going to be the ultimate distro swapping machine, as I was going to call it. Not super power heavy, cheap to buy, easy to transport, and fun to play with for most of the stuff that I do. You're not going to play any AAA titles on it, but you could play a few games and enjoy yourself. And with a few other upgrades, maybe even play a AAA title. So with that, we'll take a look, and you can see that I've mapped the devices using the mapping feature. I also tried passing through raw devices, as I read somewhere that worked. But let's get back to the Ubuntu copy, and we're going to fire it up. You can see that displays left default, and the GPU is passed through right here. Looking at the GPU settings, I mapped the GPU. I checked primary GPU. I left it just as my mapping, and I didn't even pass through PCI Express or use the Q35 only BIOS. It was a simple, easy, sleek setup. Very common for what we did with Proxmox. Pressing start, you can wait a minute, and the system fires up. The screen's black for a little longer than you'd want, but it worked. The black box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, as you can see, is the video input coming in from that system. Moving my pass-through mouse around, I can log in, and you can see it's an indeed working copy of Ubuntu 24.04 with a graphics card. I even installed Steam and tried playing a game on it. It worked fabulous. So that high is where it all ends, though. We'll go ahead and shut this down and take a look at the problems that I'm having elsewhere. Now that was working, I was off to Windows. I was running, and I was going hard. This project was going to be fast. It was going to be cool, and it wasn't going to take me a lot of time. Yeah, famous last words, I know. So I set up a Windows VM. The numbers are out of order because I tried a bunch of different things previously. So the Windows VM, downloaded the image from the Windows website, set it all up. Here's the hardware configuration as it sits right now. And I say right now because I tried numerous things. I tried my mapped PCI device. I tried my PCI device raw, just as you see it right now. I tried checking and unchecking primary GPU, PCI Express. I tried the G35 BIOS. I tried everything I could think of. And then I started reading. I even stumbled upon a really cool Reddit forum that had directions to do exactly what I wanted. Reading through this Reddit post that I discovered, I followed the steps that I hadn't already completed, making sure that all the steps that I did complete for IMMO pass-through were the same as what was in this post. They were. So, all the way down here, I started looking at my VM configurations, opening each one of these windows, looking at it to make sure it was what I wanted, make sure it was the same as my system. And they all were. Then I opened my VM configuration file and added all of these lines. I'll show you that right here. And as we scroll down through this, you'll see the complexity of the setup. Even making sure that we had the extra driver CD for Windows drivers from Proxmox inserted in as a second CD-ROM, making sure our machine was a Q35 like stated in the document, and that we had the correct CPU configurations, which I can't seem to see in the file at the moment to point out to you. So maybe we'll do a little bit more testing here. Then I hit Control X and saved it and exited out, just like we've done many times before. Now back at Proxmox, we can go ahead and see our CPU configurations and everything that have come through from our file. Here's our processor, 6 cores, 1 socket, ASCII acceleration not turned on, all of the normal settings that we might have tried, and our display option. Now, we'll start this up first by using standard VGA. If you know, standard VGA is going to relieve our video output from our video card and it's going to pass it through to our console view. But I want to show you this boots up and runs. So let's start it up. Opening our console, you can see our Windows system starts up and runs, and we're able to interact with it as such. Now, shutting down this system, let's go ahead and change the settings and see what happens. We're going to go to hardware, and we're going to start out by disabling that standard VGA. So we're going to hit edit, and we're going to change it to default. This should activate our video card and get a video output in our lower right hand corner of our screen that's being fed from our video card on our Proxmox server, just like it did in Ubuntu. We'll go ahead, once again, start this system. We'll go to summary so we can watch everything happen. And in my time, we'll give this a minute or two to run. I'm going to probably cut the video for you just so we can make it smooth, but you should be able to see the uptime monitor ticking away in my screen where we would look at our CPU and memory stats. You can also see that QEMU guest agent is installed, and we've detected an IP address on this system. So you can see that all the rest of my software is installed. My drivers are even updated. Just no video output appears. All right, 2 minutes have ticked by. Let's go ahead and we'll stop this system, waiting for it to fully shut down. And let's go ahead and make sure we added those CPU options that we saw in the post, so we can make sure that we didn't miss anything. Going back to our post, we're going to select the CPU and the argument. Going to Proxmox, let's open our console, open our shell. I'll enlarge our shell for you so you can see easier. We'll open our configuration file. We'll move all the way to the bottom. We'll paste those lines. We'll press Control X and Y to save, and we'll save this out. I'm going to go ahead and remove this and close the window on my end. Now those configuration options should be set. We'll once again select Windows. We'll look at hardware. We'll see if anything changed, and you can notice a bunch of flags and PCI stuff has indeed changed. Now we'll go ahead, hit start, go back to summary, see if the system boots up, see if anything changes, and watch our uptime monitor again, giving it a few minutes to load and see if we get any out. And there you have it. There's another 2 minutes ticked off, and you can see again, there's no video output. So we'll go ahead and stop this system so we can free the graphics card up and make sure everything's compatible. The next one I had, well, I'm a little less surprised, but Mac OS. I watched a video and I had seen Mac OS being hosted on Proxmox here by Nova Spirit Tech, and I wanted to try it out, but I never wanted to try it out on one of my other servers, as for I was fearful of anything working. So I used his script that he provided. I know I hate scripts, I don't like reading them, and so I don't run them because I can't guarantee they're secure. But with this system, I was isolated on a VLAN that was separate from the rest of my network, and it was a system that I had total intentions of blowing out after I was done playing around with some of my video card related IMMO pass-through stuff. So I was going to try the script out. I was going to see if it worked. I was going to enjoy it. And I had failed with Windows. So certainly most of my old Macs used Intel graphics. So I thought this was going to be a success. It was going to be smooth moving and the script was going to make the whole process easy. Yeah, the same thoughts I had with Windows. But here we have it. So going back to our Proxmox web interface and looking at hardware, you can see that I've passed through the PCI device, this time raw, just like I had tried in Windows. I read that that might work easier, or watched it in a video. I can't remember which, but it was supposed to work better. So I tried it. Starting this system up and opening the console because we were using VM compatibility display drivers, so it should display in the console. Then I went ahead and pressed 1 like I was directed to by the bootloader and hit enter. Things were moving, but this is where they stalled. Right here at this white screen with an Apple logo. They just sit here. I'm not entirely sure, but what I can tell you is when I remove this Intel 630 graphics card from being passed through, this install works. It runs. So right now, I'm making this video and I'm leaving this information for the next person that might be playing with an Intel 630 so we can teach and learn and help make the world of virtualization and computers a more interesting place for all that consider this a hobby or a profession. With that, I'm going to conclude this video, and I hope you found my trials and tribulations for doing this interesting. I hope they help you, or at least give you something to think about before you embark in your own journey. Go ahead and drop a comment if you see something I did wrong, or you think I should try something different. Maybe I'll make an update video. Maybe I'll just inform you in the comments of how it went and see if it worked. Only time will tell. As always, have a good night and keep on teaching and learning.